Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be playing with some products that I've had in my collection. So today is a full face of nothing new. Well, here's hoping that third time's a charm. The kids are taking a nap, and this is in fact the third time that I have tried to film this. I tried to sit down twice yesterday and start filming, and the first time I just wasn't feeling it. Like I just didn't have the right energy to like do this. And then the second time I ended up stopping because the kids needed me, and then I started cleaning the kitchen, and then my husband came home. So I was like, okay, let's just scrap this and we will try again. So I'm gonna go in with my Wet n Wild Photofocus Coconut 3-in-1 Primer Water. And for eyebrows, I'm just going to use my e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil in Blonde. I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera because it's kind of boring, and I'll be right back. Okay, brows are done. This is a great pencil. Now it is a little bit of a thicker tip compared to some of like the other ones that are super small micro tipped eyebrow pencils. I personally like these ones because I don't feel like I run through it as quickly, and it's a quicker application. Now you're not getting as a precise stroke with this kind of a brow pencil as you would thinner, smaller ones, but I do like it. And for only $2, this is really a steal of a product. Alright, and for eyes, I'm going super simple. To prime my eyes, I use the concealer I'm going to use in just a minute, and then in the crease, I use the bronzer I'm going to use in just a minute. So I'm going to use this Maybelline Color Tattoo 24-hour, I always say that backwards, Maybelline 24-hour Color Tattoo Single Eyeshadow in the shade Socialite. This is a really pretty, just pink wash of color. And I'm just going to take some on my finger and just basically swipe it across my eyelids. And then before that dries down, I'm just going to blend it out. And there we have it. Again, I know that that's super simple, but for the eyes, it's just a little bit of a wash of color, which is totally fine for me. Now, if I wanted to amp it up just a little bit, I would take my Wet n Wild Nude Awakenings palette and tap in with just a little bit of this transition color and use that as an eyeliner. And there is my very quick and simple little eye look. I love these color tattoos, even the ones from Revlon. Like this used to be my go-to for church when we lived a little bit further away, because I would just use bronzer in the crease and slap that on the lid, and then I felt put together for church. All right, for mascara, CoverGirl Clump Crusher Extensions. Have not used this in a while, thought I'd pull it out. So I have a Fire Stick, and when you have Fire Stick, you can just, I don't know about other streaming devices, this is the only one I have, but you can search videos or search basically anything you want and see if it is available through any type of streaming service, and then you can either use that service, like say I want to watch a show and it's available through Hulu. Well, I can either purchase Hulu or to watch that show, or sometimes you can like purchase individual episodes or seasons or whatever. So the other day, I don't know why, but I was just scrolling through and I stumbled upon Everwood. And Everwood is a show I used to watch all the time. I can't really remember the plot to it or anything. I just remember really liking it. And then that reminded me of another show that I used to watch with Hayden Christensen, who was like my crush when he was in Star Wars. And there was a show that he was in called Higher Ground. Don't ask me how I still remembered what that show was called, because I started searching and I'm thinking, isn't that called Higher Ground? Well, sure enough, I searched it and there it was. And I didn't realize it only ran for one season. But anyway, I started watching it again, and it's just funny, the things, I mean, the show is interesting. It's like a school for troubled kids, and like they all have these different issues that they go there to deal with. Like they're up in the woods and they take them on these quests to work through problems and all this kinds of stuff. Well, anyways, I started watching it today and I'm like, man, I used to sit here and watch that, like Saved by the Bell, Higher Ground, Everwood, Roswell, the original, and it was just funny finding these shows that I used to watch all the time. because I loved Higher Ground. I remember when it ran and I was so excited because, like I said, I don't know if Higher Ground was before Star Wars or not, but I always liked Hayden Christensen and stuff. So whenever I seen that he's in Higher Ground, I'm sure that's the reason I started watching. Or maybe that's how I discovered him, was Higher Ground. And then when I seen that he was in Star Wars, I was like, ooh, that's the guy from Higher Ground. But anyway, I was just laughing, sitting around watching these old shows. Like, there's all this new stuff to watch, but I don't know, there's something about watching the old show. It's like comforting and nostalgic because it's stuff that like I used to watch when I was younger. Anyway, so I'm going to clean up under my eyes just a little bit here, and then we're going to move on to the face. All right, for primer for my skin, it would be super predictable to whip out my Wet n Wild Dewy Primer, because I swear I used to use that all the time. But today I wanted to try my e.l.f. Luminous Matte Makeup Primer. I haven't used this in quite some time. I do remember liking it because there for a while I kept it in my makeup bag to do my makeup on the way to church. So I thought today would be a good time to pull it out and give it another try and try to remember why I liked it so much. That has got an interesting texture, like it's lotiony and silicone-y. I don't know, it's interesting, but I never really heard a lot of people talk about this like at all. And this is from not clean, I can't think of what it's called, but this pink packaging is from a specific line from e.l.f. and I can't remember what that was called. But for foundation, I decided to pull out my Revlon photoready Candid Glow foundation. I have the shade 110 and 120, and I just mix these because one's a little pink, one's a little yellow. I probably am more on the pinky side, but I just prefer a more neutral look. So yeah, you can see that. So I just mix those together. And I loved this foundation when it came out. In fact, I did a wear test on it. I'll link for you up here. And I remember other people commenting that they really hadn't heard very much about this foundation when it came out. Like, I remember seeing a few people review it, but really there wasn't a lot of hype, or I don't remember seeing a lot about it like on Instagram or anything. It was kind of not underrated, but under promoted when it was first released. And I remember loving this foundation. Like, it's not very heavy, it's not maximum coverage or anything. I would almost put it on the same scale, maybe a tinted moisturizer, because it's got a little more coverage than a CC or a BB cream. So maybe tinted moisturizer would be good to reference this, to compare and reference. There we go. English, Mackenzie, English. It's looking nice on my cheeks and in my smile lines. I'm just gonna work to build it up a little bit here with what's left on the back of my hand. It is glowy. You definitely can tell this compared to the original photoready Candid foundation. This definitely is more glowy than the other. The other one I wouldn't call matte. I would call it definitely more satin natural in finish. Definitely probably on the side of tinted moisturizer, but some days that's just what you need. So this is definitely one that I'll be keeping because I like it. It's dependable, it's reliable, I know how it wears, and I really like the finish of it. Alright, for concealer, Maybelline Instant Age Rewind and Cool Ivory. Tried and true, can't go wrong with this one. I really like that they came out with a lighter shade too, because originally I couldn't really wear this because the lightest shade was the shade of foundation for me, and then the brightening shade still didn't work for me. So if you're very, very fair like I am, I don't know if they carry this in store, this shade. So if you like this, if you like the formula of the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer, but you can't find a shade that works for you, definitely check on CVS.com or somewhere online, because you may be able to find, like I said, this is 095 Cool Ivory. Okay, I need to take some of that down on my cheeks and kind of make that match. My under eyes are looking just a little too bright now compared to the rest of my face. So for powder, I have not used this in so long. My Fenty Beauty Pro Filtr Mini Instant Retouch Setting Powder in the shade Butter. Now, the main reason that I don't use this a lot is purely because of the smell. It smells like a luxurious grandmother. And sometimes it can be a bit overpowering, to be honest. But today, we're just going to go ahead and give it some loving. Yeah, can you see that? This powder, like, picked up. Once I put the powder on, it almost picked up the foundation stuff underneath. Huh. Okay, so we'll just kind of call it there on the powder. That's interesting. It picked it up right here. I don't know if I've ever noticed that before with this powder. Okay, so bronzer. I pulled out my Essence Luminous Matte Bronzer. I hope they still sell this. I know that they have the matte ones. I don't know if I've really looked to see if they still have the luminous matte ones or not. This and my Rimmel Radiance Brick were two of the first bronzers that I really had in my collection and used a lot. So I thought I would pull this Essence one out today. I haven't used it in quite some time. Okay, I definitely got a little too much, so I'm just going to take this fluffy powder brush and kind of diffuse that bronzer. So for blush, actually let's do highlighter. For highlighter, I pulled out my e.l.f. Glow Gleam Beam highlighter because I remember loving this shade right here and I haven't used it. And so it is a very natural, pretty day, like everyday highlight, whereas these shades down here, the metallics, are much more intense, whereas these two top shades are much more natural. Go ahead and apply this. I've really been enjoying applying my highlighter before blush when I can remember. Usually you get so set in your ways about doing your makeup in a certain order that sometimes I'll get done and be like, oh man, I meant to do this or that, and you just totally forget because you get so used to doing things a certain way. Ooh man, I need to blend out my right there. Let's blend that out a little bit. Okay, and now for blush. We don't need a lot because where this foundation is more like a tinted moisturizer, it does let some of my natural flush still come through. So I grabbed my CoverGirl Instant Cheekbones trio here in Purely Plum, and I just want to stick to these two shades right here. So I'm going to take this brush, fan brush, and just sweep across those two shades. I'm trying not to pick up the darkest shade here. And just apply a little bit of this to the cheeks. And just a little across the nose and to the forehead. Yeah, I think that's good. Like I said, I don't want to add that dark plummy color because you can still see some of my natural flush coming through. And then I'm going to spray again with the Wet n Wild to set this into place. Oh, little one's awake. I need to hurry. Okay, well, that worked out well. Last step, we're on lips. Okay, so for lips, I pulled out from Avon this Nourishing lipstick in the shade Peony Blush. It's just a very pretty pinky color. Oh, that's pretty. That looks good with this shirt. Oh, I like that. That's pretty. I don't know if I like this bow with my shirt though, but oh well. So anyways, that is a full face of nothing new. Sometimes you just need to dig into your collection and use products that you haven't used in a while and remember why you like them in the first place. I mean, it's just, we all know there's so many new releases all the time, which is great because it's exciting, but then it's like you forget about products that you were using and that you love because you're trying so many new things. So I just thought today I would step back, take a little break, and try out some products that have just been hanging out in my drawers. And honestly, I also like combining different products together. Like that highlighter underneath that blush, beautiful. And you know, sometimes you don't know the best combinations until you play around and try. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you will like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.